So Rusty says, gee, Pimpy, whatever happened to you saying it would take years and many more steps for Iraq to join the WTO? Well, yeah, Rusty, I did say that. And then I heard all of a sudden, magically, somehow, some way, Iraq had completed the requirements for the World Trade Organization. Now, I saw the same article as everybody else, but then missed something really, really important. Today, I'm going to teach you guys about what's known as the hurt and heal method. That's when you get bad news and good news all at one time. Let's get into this.
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Somebody had said, hey, Pimpy, how come you haven't done a video reacting to that $1.32 rate? I said, I saw the article. I got a question about it. But more importantly, I don't think people even paid attention to what else the article was talking about. And that's pretty important. Also, we need to come through and make a correction regarding the World Trade Organization. Let's get into this. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. Alright, like so many people, I saw headlines like this. Iraq has completed requirements to join the World Trade Organization. And I said, I'll be darned, they're done. There's only a couple more steps left for them to do. One is get voted in by the Global Council and then get it ratified. Then they're in. I came down here and I read this article. It says the same thing. Has confirmed that Iraq has completed the requirements to join the World Trade Organization. And I thought, man, they're done. This is good news for Iraq. Except for I should have just kept reading this a little bit more. After completing economic reforms and improving the business environment. Well, if you see the way this sentence is written, it makes it look like everything has been completed. They're ready to join the World Trade Organization. And all they had to do was complete the economic reforms and improving the business environment. And it appears they've done that. That's what it looks like. So I started reading this other article saying almost the same thing until something caught my attention. Iraq confirms it has completed the requirements to join the World Trade Organization. Woohoo! It says here again the same thing, completing economic reforms and improving the business environment. And then I remember reading that somewhere when I was looking at the steps necessary to be a member of the World Trade Organization. You come down here, it says Iraq has confirmed that it has completed the requirements to join the World Trade Organization. After completing economic reforms and improving the business environment, Iraq submitted a request to join in 2004. The Iraqi Minister of Trade affirmed that Iraq fulfilled the conditions necessary to become a member of the WTO following the completion of economic reforms and the enhancement of the investment climate. When you read it as it is, it does look like everything is finished. All we need is to go through a vote by the members of the World Trade Organization and then ratify it by going to Iraqi parliament and having them vote on it there. Except for it kept bugging me that I seen them words before. So I went over here, it says current status of the WTO session. If you come down here, it shows you exactly where the country is. This is the beginning stage. Obviously, Iraq is not here. You come down here, it says multilateral process. Memorandum on the FTR submitted by, and there's Iraq. Not what we wanted to see. So Iraq has completed the first stage, has started the second stage, but they still have other stages to go through. If you look right here, as each stage is completed, it gets colored with blue. See this? This also helps you find out exactly what stage your country is in. If we go to Iraq, yeah, that's where Iraq is. The blue is what they've completed. The gray is what's left. This is what happens when you don't dig into this enough. I read the article, I read that first paragraph, As I read the article, it did give me the impression that Iraq had absolutely completed everything necessary. It was this wording right here in this sentence and this wording right here, because I kept going, I read this somewhere, and it bugged the bejeebus out of me. Why I didn't think to go to the WTO website and find out for sure, I have no idea. But when I went there, this is what I found out. This is as far as Iraq is. So, Rusty, as I stated before, Iraq has a long ways to go. It's most likely going to take years. This really is going to depend on how fast Iraq gets the required information over to the working party. The working party reviews it. Whatever they want changed or they have questions about, they send back to Iraq. Iraq goes through and addresses the issues, and it goes back and forth until both sides feel happy about this, that they got the information necessary and all the things that were required of Iraq to be aligned with the World Trade Organization has been completed. I kept looking for them on the schedule to be voted in, and now I understand why it's not on there. It's because they're not even close to being done. Sorry about that. So, I did see this article, and yeah, I did read the 132 rate. I don't think all the different content creators caught this. Maybe they did later on. I think actually Frank26, somebody in his group, caught this. Let's go ahead and get into all this because this whole entire article is important. I kept talking about one of the things that Iraq needs to have is not only a stable currency, but a stable government and a stable country, along with the stable economy. The coordinated framework seeks early election to curb al-Sudani's growing popularity. When I saw this, I said, what? I thought everything was peaches and cream. This is Maliki's right-hand man back in the day. So I said, let's see what's going on. Prime Minister al-Sudani is strikingly popular amongst the Iraqi people, and rightfully so. He's accomplished a lot in such a short period of time. But the one thing that did catch my attention about all of his accomplishments was the fact that it appeared there wasn't very much resistance from the coordinated framework, because everything that al-Sudani was doing was going to interfere with the corruption that the coordinated framework was involved in. I thought that was kind of weird. Come to find out, there was an issue. It goes on to say, but the parties who once supported him are organizing to take him down? What? Iraq's ruling coalition plans to call for early elections in an attempt to overthrow Prime Minister al-Sudani. Do you see the wording there? They are plotting to overthrow al-Sudani. So much for stability within the government. Al-Sudani belongs to the coordinating framework, an alliance of Shiite parties loyal to Iran. But after assuming the premiership, al-Sudani changed his approach towards the parties and came to disagree with many of their political positions. Yeah, I kind of figured that. It seemed like coordinating framework was awfully quiet, considering all the things that are being implemented by al-Sudani. A leader of the Islamic Dawa Party, which al-Sudani led until stepping down in 2019, told the media line that coordinated framework parties have been meeting for about 5 months and plan to call for early election in 2024 or early 2025. The plan is to attack the prime minister, belittle his achievements, bring him down popularly, and create more political and economic problems, after which the Iraqi streets will go out in demonstrations demanding the overthrow of the government and then call for early elections and not nominate al-Sudani again or grant him any position within the government. This is what I've been talking about, man. When it comes to Iraq, they take 2 steps forward of positive motion and take like 3 or 4 back. The coordinating framework, the members that are all part of these parties, they have been in control for over 20 years since Saddam Hussein was removed. There's a reason why the same corrupt people are there after all this time. They know how to play this game. They have friends in high places. They control a good chunk of the media, control a big chunk of the Supreme Court. Not only that, but Maliki has the ears of a lot of people. Remember, back in the olden days, the Iraqi government allowed thousands of Iranians to come over and stay within Iraq, which was a smooth plan because Iran wanted to find a way to take control over Iraq. And that's exactly what they did. They got their people in government. Not only that, they put them in powerful political positions. Basically, what happens is these guys are just puppets for Iran. The source noted that the two previous Iraq prime ministers had lost their positions after the Iraqi public turned against them. The party fears that al-Sudani may announce their formation of a new political party or alliance, run in the up-and-coming election, and become the ruling political majority in Iraq. Well, if they're going to treat al-Sudani this way, this might be a good time for him to reach out to Sadr, because Sadr was trying to figure out a way to get this political party removed out of power. We haven't heard much from him since then. The dispute between the coordinated framework and al-Sudani relates to the Prime Minister's approval of the U.S. Federal Reserve's policies to prevent currency smuggling. See that part right there? Prevent currency smuggling. That's where Maliki and his partner in this political party, they own banks, and they do a lot of that. So if they can keep everything as old school as possible, I'm talking about paper and pencil, no automation, they can get away with a lot of this. But once it goes automated, it's really easy to catch these guys. These measures reduce the circulation of the U.S. dollars in Iraq and increase the price of the dollar. Al-Sudani also implemented several policies that have boosted his popularity. He increased government salaries and wages for retirees, launched major development projects in the capital and several Iraqi governments, and announced plans to improve infrastructure and expand the nation's road network. Well, it's kind of hard to control the people unless they're desperate. So keep them unemployed, social welfare, and unemployment. Make sure they stay in poverty with a really cheap, worthless currency. It's almost like the Democrats are trying to do now. According to official statistics, he also significantly reduced unemployment and passed a social security law for workers in the private sector and announced a plan to build 1,000 schools and more than 1 million residential units. How dare him want to do something for the Iraqi people? He has accomplished a lot, more than I had anticipated. I thought he'd go straight into corruption with the rest of the coordinating framework. Definitely I was wrong there. I sold more on Al-Qademi. He started this stuff because of al-Sudani's relationship with Maliki in the beginning. He's able to get a lot more accomplished. That seems to have somehow soured. Since mid-2023, at least 10 countries, including some in the Gulf Cooperation Council, have announced new investments in Iraq. The exchange rate of the dollar in the parallel market has also stabilized since November of 2023. A September 2023 opinion poll by the Government Advisory Board found that al-Sudani's enjoys a 78% approval rating. This would be a good time for him to partner up with Sadr. Keep in mind, Maliki and them have huge control over a lot of the media as well as the courts. But Sadr does have the ear of a huge chunk of the population. That's the only way this guy's going to make it. Another poll by the non-governmental Iraqi Statistic Organization found him to have an approval rating of 51%, the highest of any Iraqi official. Yeah, because he's actually doing something for the Iraqi people. The Iraqi government is currently weighing the question of changing the currency so that the official cost of the US dollar will be 132 Iraqi dinars instead of 1,320 dinars. Implementing such a decision is likely to significantly increase al-Sudani's popularity. Now, I know everybody somehow, some way got that the exchange rate was going to be $1.32. That's not what this article says. It says the official cost of a US dollar. It doesn't say the official cost of an Iraqi dinar. It says the official cost of a US dollar will be 1.32 Iraqi dinars. There's a couple of ways to look at this. I know there's going to be people out there going, that doesn't even make sense, Pimpy. Buy $1 for 1.32 Iraqi dinars? Hey, I get it. But that is how it is written. So they're saying a US dollar will buy you 1.32 Iraqi dinars. Does that make sense to you? No. What I'm hoping this means is 1 US dollar will get you 132 Iraqi dinars. That would be a pretty nice increase in the Iraqi exchange rate. That's a 90% increase. Currently, right now, 1 US dollar buys you 1,309.12 Iraqi dinars. So if you want to see what your current value of your Iraqi dinars are, if they do indeed change it to $1 buys you 132 Iraqi dinars instead of 1,320. All you got to do is take the number of dinars you have, divide it by 132. Because that would be the new exchange rate. Take the number of dinars you have, divide it by 132. So I'd get $37,878.78. You know, I'd be pretty happy with that. Sure, that's not millions, but that would definitely take care of some issues. It would be a lot better than $3,787 with the current exchange rate. So yeah, if they did increase the exchange rate and $1 bought 132 Iraqi dinars, I wouldn't have an issue with that exchange rate. What would really suck is if they redenominate first. Al-Masawi, he's the other guy that owns the bank. Maliki owns one and he owns one. Advisor to the former Prime Minister al-Maliki said in statements to Iraq media that al-Sudani's achievements are for everyone, while also saying that al-Sudani will not be re-elected as Prime Minister. This is such bad news. For those of you who have been in this investment for however long, when is the last time you've seen this much achieved in Iraq by any Prime Minister? And now the one person that is doing things for the Iraqi people is going to be removed out of office? He said, "We are not afraid of al-Sudani. We have our audience, and it is a stable audience." So the fact that they're using verbiage like this, "we are not afraid," what kind of arguments are they having behind closed doors? So now you have an unstable government. You have the coordinated framework saying that they are going to use the media to smear him. They want the Iraqi people to be so pissed that they take to the streets and protest. And now you have civil unrest. And if it continues, that means it will interfere with the economy. Now you have a disabled economy. So your economy will no longer be stable. Your currency will no longer be stable. Your government is no longer stable. I said it before and I'll say it again. Every time they make any kind of progress, they always do something to screw things up. Said a member of the National Wisdom Movement, one of the Shiite parties within the ruling coordinated framework, told the media line, the Dawa party is trying to state that only its cadres are capable of running the state, but this is not true. He said the parliamentary is discussing a new law regarding elections and that new elections might be called after the law's passage. And that means the coordinating framework is going to have to make a lot of promises to members in there because not everybody's on the same page. But you got to like how this is how much power the coordinating framework have. They have such power that they can just turn around and implement a new law after voting on it to prevent their political opponent from running for office. Sounds familiar. Shahib, director of the Iraq Media Observatory, told the media line that al-Sudani has faced constant criticism on Iraqi TV. So they are already in the process of trying to smear his name. There are channels affiliated with the Shiite religious parties, which were the most offensive, as they only showed the negative aspects of the decisions and tried to exaggerate them, he said. He said that the consistency across different channels suggests that there may be a single writer behind the criticism. Shaib defended al-Sudani's achievements. Iraq is now making an unprecedented renaissance. It is true that the situation is still below ambition, but it is much better than before, and I think we can all agree with that. A former professor of political science at the University of Baghdad told the media line that the current political climate is a result of the premier's attempt to fracture the coalition. He also said that the coordinating framework will succeed in holding early elections only if al-Sadr comes out in favor of the plan. I don't think that's going to happen. Al-Sadr agreed to step down after meeting with al-Sudani. Apparently, he liked what he had to say. And if Sadr's original reason for running for politics was to try to get the most corrupt party out of there, and he did succeed for a second until he resigned. If he teams up with al-Sudani, Sadr has the ear of a lot of citizens in Iraq. I think he would be able to survive being kicked out of office. And if he teams up with Sadr, not only could al-Sudani continue to be the prime minister, but I really believe then this time around, they'll be able to remove Maliki in the coordinating framework. I do not think that Sadr will return to trust in the coordinated framework after they removed him from political process, and therefore the prime minister will continue to complete his term as president. Former member of the parliament told the media line that the disputes have to do with the different parties' attempt to vie for power. The disputes are only over shares of the cake and are not disputes over the popularity of the current prime minister. That is the whole thing. It's about power, but the more popular that al-Sudani becomes, the more he provides for the Iraqi people, the more powerful he becomes. So the hurt and heal method, sorry about that, but when it comes to the World Trade Organization, Iraq is not even close to being finished. I just read right through that article, and I'm sure just like everybody else, but nonetheless, I pride myself in being real detailed. So I read right through that article, and just the way it was written gave me the impression that they were at the ass end of all this. And that's why I was so surprised. But after rereading it and noticing that those words sound familiar to me, forced me to go look a little deeper, only to find out the ugly truth. They have a long ways to go. Now add on the fact that the coordinating framework is trying to remove al-Sudani, so the political scene is going to be very unstable. And if Maliki does his job and causes protests, that means the country is going to be unstable, which means the economy is going to be unstable. All these things are going in the wrong direction. We went from being high as hell with lots of hope to now it's just looking terrible. As far as the exchange rate is concerned, it doesn't say that the exchange rate is $1.32. More likely what it is, al-Sudani will change the exchange rate where you can buy 132 dinars for $1. Like I said, that's a 90% increase. I don't know about you, but I'd be pretty happy with that. I'd be content with that. I know a lot of you were expecting millions. That doesn't mean it can't happen. But if we're allowed to keep this currency that we have right now with all the zeros and they change the exchange rate, I'm going to count my blessings and sell them. Because I'm not going to take the risk of hoping for a higher exchange rate and then they turn around and delete the zeros. $37,000 is not too bad for less than a $2,000 investment. Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. I look forward to your comments. I'll catch you later. I'm out.